So, welcome back. You completed the questionnaire online. Any comments about the questions and or your experience with that?
I just thought it was kind of interesting because questions that kind of seemed similar about, like, I don't know, social behavior or something, or how I would act with new people, it's like in slightly different circumstances, I answered kind of differently. So I thought that was interesting.
Excellent. And sometimes when we are answering questions, we do think of what do we typically do
Yeah.
or what do we need to do. And the wonderful part about personality is we can do whatever we need to do. So even though it might not be our natural way, if the situation requires us to greet, we say, okay, I'll do that job. Versus if the situation says, you could greet or somebody else could greet, and you go, well, I'll let somebody else do it because it would not be my favorite way.
Yeah.
And so when you were answering the questions, you kind of looked at it more of what could I do rather than my choice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that impacts the results.
Yeah.
Which is one of the critical reasons why we always give feedback.
Yeah.
So that just taking the indicator isn't enough. You want to be sure you give the person a chance to listen to the descriptions and agree or disagree so that they can make the final judgment about what is accurate for them. Okay? And so that's what we're going to do now.
Okay.
What we'll do is we'll start out, and our first tasks will be with these workbooks. And that will be yours to keep when you leave the program. And you are going to eventually have to make some marks in it. But let's go ahead and just start by looking at page 2. Okay? And page 2 starts out by helping us understand that we're talking about type. They call it personality type, and that these differences exist among all people, no matter what their age, from the very young to the very old. But knowing about them are going to help you to develop that self-awareness so you can manage yourself. And then you can do whatever you need to match the situation. So just exactly the social description that you were giving, it doesn't matter what your energy is. If you need to do that job, you can. But it's awfully nice to know, gee, if that's not my natural energy, maybe I can let somebody else take the lead here, and I'll take the lead in another way. That it helps us with respecting differences. We don't want to respect things that are wrong.
Yeah.
But we do want to respect good differences that might not be the way we would approach the task, but allow somebody else to do it their way that works best for them. It helps with career awareness. You seem to have a keen sense of where you would like to go so far with your career, but for some people they're not sure. And so knowing what their preferences are helps them kind of hone in on what kind of careers might be attractive to people with my preferences. And for those who might look at study skills, it helps sometimes help us decide, the better way for me to study might be if I approach the task this way rather than another. Okay?
Okay.
If you look at page 5, it gives us 2 terms, stretches and strengths. So when you would use your hand to write, what hand would you typically use?
My right hand.
Right hand. So when you pick your pencil up with your right hand, it's kind of what?
Just natural.
Just natural, just easy, you kind of do, no big deal, huh?
Yeah.
And if you hurt that hand and had to use your other hand, could you?
I could.
Great. But what would it be like using that other hand?
It'd be a lot more difficult, and I'd have to think about it more.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what most people say,
Yeah.
is that their personality is exactly the same. We're going to talk about the 2 parts, but you actually will have both of them within you. But one will be your preferred side that is allowing you to use it as a strength, and the other side will be your stretch side. You can do it, but you may have to concentrate, you may have to be more careful, and it may take a little more effort in order to be able to use that side of your personality. Okay?
Okay.
So what we look for in understanding type is understanding what are my personal strengths and what are my personal stretches. Things that we want to remember. That the personality type that we talk about will not tell me what you will think, do, or say, or at any time. You're still 100% in charge of your behavior. So I might learn what your preferences are, but I don't know what you'll choose to do at this moment. You always have free will with that. However, you don't have free will about which are your energy sources. You're born with those. So the personality type comes with you at birth, and it helps to define those natural ways. Just like eventually you decided that your right hand was a more natural way for you. Yep. It was there from the beginning. It'll probably be there for you forever. But you can use your left hand when you need to. We want to remember everybody's smart. One type is not smarter than another. Everybody can make a mistake. And that everybody can do a good job if they put forth the effort that they need to. All right?
All right.
All right, so our first task that we're going to do is called I Am a Good Student.
Okay.
And I Am a Good Student is an activity that's going to, again, help you to sort which way sounds more like you.
Okay.
The first pair of differences looks at the icon with multiple fish on it or the single fish. Both are equally good ways of being a student. The first set says one thing and the second set says another, and I'm going to read them for you.
Okay.
Unless you would prefer to read them silently, I'll give you that option. And you can tell me each time which way you would prefer.
Okay.
But that you're going to decide from those two, although everything might not be true, which one is more close to matching what you believe is accurate for you.
Okay.
Okay? So for the first kind of good student, it says, I remember more if I scan the information before the class lesson and read it more thoroughly after the teacher explains it. I like studying with others so I can talk about the information out loud. I remember the facts more that way. I enjoy music and food and company while I study, and I tend to take frequent breaks. When I really have to concentrate, every little sound can distract me. But when the work is easier, I enjoy the music and sounds in the room. Or are you the kind of good student who would do it this way? I remember more if I read the information thoroughly before the teacher explains it. I like to study by myself, and I study better in a quiet space. Sometimes I study for a long time before I take a break. In class, I wait until an idea is clear to me before I share it with the class, as I'm not good at talking off the top of my head. In new groups, I tend to hold back, but with friends, I share freely. So if you were going to select which students sounded more like you, which would it be?
I think the first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and circle that icon as the description that matches your style more. Was there a particular piece of that sounded best for you?
I think the part where it says I enjoy the music and food and company while I study, but only when it's easy, and when it's really I need to concentrate, that I have to be focused in an environment where it's calm and helpful.
Excellent. So that's what some good students say is true for them too. We'll go to the next set of differences. And again, it could be this kind of good student or this kind of good student.
Okay.
Would you prefer me to read them?
Sure.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one says, I'm really good with specifics. I like lots of details, which help me understand a main idea better. And I appreciate detailed directions to help me do the assignment correctly. I also prefer it when my teacher presents the lesson in a sequential order. Information presented sequentially makes the idea easier to process. Coming up with project ideas is difficult for me, but once I get started, I'm able to make exceptional projects. When problems occur, I look to those with past experience for guidance. I trust what I know, and I learn better by exploring what is happening now before venturing to what else could be. Or are you the kind of good student that says, I don't always listen to specific details. Instead, I like to think of what they mean or how they connect. I love studying new and different things. As soon as I get the main idea, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. I get restless when we stay on the same topic. When we get an assignment, I get excited to design it in a new and a different way because I like having an idea no one else considered. I have more fun designing. My final projects don't always match their design, which is frustrating. I'm attracted to exploring innovative options. So which kind of good student do you think sounds more like you?
I think the first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
And again, what piece would have matched you best?
I think it was when there's problems, I look to people who have past experience to help me.
Mm-hmm. And for some, that's one of the best paths for them to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and circle that icon as representative of what you think matches you. And we'll look at the third set of I am a good student. So this time it will either be the puzzle or the people. With the puzzle, it says, I tend to take information and organize it into systems and groups. I prefer working independently unless I trust the skills of the other members in the group. Achievement and meeting personal challenges are important to me, so I want to work with others who share that view. I like to ask why, and I tend to tell people just what I am thinking. I make choices based on what seems right and makes the most sense at the time. Or, are you a good student who would say, I like working with my friends on teams. Cooperating with others is easy for me as I enjoy helping everyone on the team do their part. I like when people are warm and friendly and give lots of compliments because I think it's important to tell people how well they are doing. I make choices based on what I think is important, even if that choice seems illogical to others. My caring nature leads me to help others whenever I can. Does one of those types of good students seem right for you?
I think the first one.
Okay. And again, why would that first one appeal to you?
I think mainly because of the last part on the second one, where it says, like, choosing being caring and nice rather than making the logical decision. And I think that is not me. So I think it really, it's the first one.
So you would use your logic to try to help people?
Yeah, and I
rather
want to
than-
be nice, but I don't want to make a bad decision just because I want to be nice.
Excellent. So go ahead and circle that icon. And we'll look at one more set of differences between two kinds of good students. The first set with a direct arrow says, I like to plan. Once I make a plan for how to study, I want to follow that plan. When a teacher gives an assignment, I want to get started as soon as possible. I'm not comfortable working close to the due date because I'm afraid I won't be done on time. Getting my work done is important. Then I can relax and enjoy my free time. I like making lists and then checking things off my list as a sign of my accomplishments for the day. Unplanned changes can interfere with my plans. Or are you the type of good student who would say, I like to be effective and I have a general idea of what needs to be done, but I can change what I'm doing if something more important develops. Working at the last moment seems to inspire my best thoughts, so I tend to work more effectively when the due date is near. I like staying open to other ideas until I absolutely have to decide. I know I have to do the work, but if I can add a bit of playfulness to the work, the task seems to get done easier. It may take a little longer, but adding the fun makes it worth it. So which type of good student do you think sounds more like you?
I think the second one.
The second one?
Yeah.
And what part was appealing from the second one?
It's that adding a little bit of playfulness just makes it easier and just makes the work better for me.
Okay. Can you give an example of what that playfulness would look like?
Well, I don't know, if my language arts teacher needed me to write like a fictional story, like instead of making it, just making it fun, enjoying myself instead of just trying to follow like the guidelines or the plot of what you need to do.
So your playfulness, would it be with the ideas within the story or with others within the room?
I think both. I think with the story, but I'm fine with interacting with other people and still having fun and making the environment fun.
Okay. And so for that deadline, that's an effective tool for helping bring out your best thoughts, or is it a piece that interrupts your thoughts?
I think it helps brings out some of my best thoughts.
Excellent. Okay. So circle that icon, and it's a description for you. Perfect. So what we do know about everybody, all types, will be that there are a lot of ways to do that job well. There are a lot of ways to contribute to the team. There are many ways to talk with others so their ideas can be heard. There are many ways to design new ideas and to make those ideas work. And there are many ways we can be good at our job if we work at it. So knowing about yourself, knowing about your personality type, is to allow us to work well with others, use our energy best, and to appreciate what is good and natural in others that we may not have understood as just a natural difference.